Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Katie Tatishi and I'm the Vice President of Marketing at AdHawk. Today's session is actually going to be pre-recorded, but if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. And then also there are going to be a couple of slides that have a code in there where you can directly message me any questions that you have as you're walking through the webinar today. So today I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about how to get the most out of your Facebook ads. And for a lot of small, medium businesses, I'm sure there's a ton of questions that come out with the complexities of the digital platforms that you're working through. But really, there's a lot of different granular learnings that you can get of how to make this work for your unique business needs. So diving right in, as I said, I'm Katie. I actually came from the corporate ad agency world where I was working with some very large clients like Absolute, Sonos, and Ben & Jerry's. And I could not be more excited to be able to come over and bring all of that knowledge to work directly with businesses like you. So diving right in, today's agenda, we're going to cover off on three main themes. So the first is actually to take a look back and really to digest and understand how the market is constantly shifting and evolving and why that's important for you and your business and how social has really come in and taken the majority of the market share, but also given you a unique opportunity to how to get that same scale, but for a fraction of the cost. And secondly, we're going to talk through is Facebook for targeted reach. So talking about that reach, that universe size that you can really access, it's doing that strategically and understanding the tools for an insights perspective, but also for an executional layer of how you can use that and really get the most out of that scale. And then finally is content. Content marketing truly is king. So it's important for you to understand how do you use content to be able to push your messaging forward, but also to understand what is the right type of messaging to speak to your consumer. So jumping in is understanding the changing face of marketing. So before, about 10 years ago, the entire industry looked completely different. It was probably your understanding of what the media was is more on the left with traditional channels. It was newspaper, it was TV, it was out-of-home billboards, and even physical mail that was being inserted to your customers. And really, over the past couple years, this has drastically been changing as digital has come more into the mix. And it's really understanding how do you use digital channels to be able to create a multi-way communication, because that's, to be honest, the biggest difference between traditional and digital is that the channels over on the left were built for a one-sided communication. But really now with digital, and specifically when it comes to paid social and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter, they were naturally created to make a two-way sided conversation between you and your customer. So why is this so hard for a lot of businesses to let go of those more traditional tactics? Well, we understand because it's nice when you can literally hold your ad inside of a newspaper, or if you see your TV spot air, that's exciting. It's something that's physical, but it's also has the repertoire of having more scale. But really when it comes to social is understanding that the landscape itself has completely changed. So where you had these large moments like the Super Bowl, the Olympics, that's actually been downgraded in terms of viewership, and that's because of this whole aspect right here on the right-hand side, which we call the second screen. So now your customers no longer have one-sided of focus happening on that TV screen. They're on their laptop, they're on their iPad, they're on their phone, they're looking at things, they're talking to people while things are happening. So digital has provided the opportunity is to get that same level of scale, but also understanding is that how their attitude is, how their behavior has changed, drastically impacts your ability to market your company's message to them and capture their full attention. Secondly is to understand is that consumers have completely changed. When somebody is in market to buy something, a product or a service, a customer is going to look online. And over 89% of customers start their buying process online, but specifically when it comes to search. And if you tuned in for our CEO Todd's webinar, he talked to you about the power of search. And now this is taking it a step further is to understand how social, so how Facebook and Instagram can actually be paired perfectly to start when the intent peaks, when they're starting to search for something. This allows you to get your message over across 2 different channels and not just across that search environment as well. It's because social actually does matter, and social makes a difference to your marketing and to your business. And 75% of customers say that they actually use social media as part of the buying process. And specifically, this comes into when they're looking for reviews, when they're looking to talk to their communities and ask people what their opinions are. It matters for you to be there at that moment to make sure that you are encapsulating what your brand's message is, what your business objective is, and making sure that when they are on those platforms, you are there to answer any and every question that they have along the way of considering to buy into your business. And if you want to look into a little bit more of a quantitative view, that's not just me showing insights to you, but actually giving you an example of how one of the companies that we've partnered with, one of our clients, during the Memorial Day weekend sale, when it's extremely competitive to his business, we actually talked to him about reallocating 30% of his budget, where he was actually going to put that onto a TV spot, and saying, no, why don't we consider putting this into Facebook? And what this does is, during a very competitive environment, we know that across any platform, any tactic, any channel, those prices are going to rise. And especially when it comes to traditional channels, that's notorious for when those prices are extremely hard to go into because the competition is all out at the same time. And the beauty of using Facebook is that you get that same level of scale. You also are able to accurately target to your audience and know exactly what that performance is going to look like, how many people you're going to be able to speak to, and ultimately, what is the metric of success going to look like during a very competitive time frame. So our client hit some of his budget into Facebook during this time frame, and it was really to just make sure that any promotions at the time which he was running was able to be incorporated into the content, and that we are able to accurately target who his target audience is, who those customers are during this very key time frame. Is a 6-day window, and that's really important too, because when it comes into these very high competition time frames, you want to make sure that your message is there in a 3-way factor. It's leading up to, which is important because you need to understand when intent starts to spike. So for Memorial Day weekend, we actually used tools that were affiliated to our search campaign, so the beauty of that 1-2 punch, that are showing us on a yearly level, when does the conversation and those intent, when are people starting to search for things that are associated to this time frame, and actually showed us it was a couple days before the holiday even began. And that's important because your competition is going to go out there on the same kind of copy and paste piece of let's go out on a Friday right before the holiday. But if you know that your competition is going to all go out at the same time, then don't you want the opportunity to kneecap them and get your message out first? And that's exactly what we did with our customer, and put his message out when we knew intent was going to start to spike, and then make sure that he's out there before everyone else is with that content that's talking about the promotions, that's accurately targeted to who his audience is. And what happened is truly successful results from that. So we saw more leads come in, which was actually one of our goals, was to have more leads surrounding the competitive Memorial Day weekend, and also to drive new qualified leads, leveraging Facebook and Google AdWords together. And what we saw from this is actually over 76% lower cost per lead, and factor that into the whole piece where he was actually going to put that money onto a TV spot. So much more impact at such a fraction of the cost, and also over 5,000 views of his 30-second video about his company. That's a ton of eyeballs. That's a ton of people really understanding who his company is, what they're offering, which isn't just an immediate effect of a lift during that time frame, but a lasting effect to create a true customer that's going to stick around and understand who his business is. And then of course, the leads. 80 leads occurred just by doing a 6-day campaign across Facebook. It's a ton of traction for your business, and especially when it comes how to filter that into a very competitive time frame. Next, we're going to talk about how the social landscape is continuously evolving. Facebook, back in 2012, one of the greatest acquisitions occurred when Facebook bought into Instagram, a platform that had very little audience, very little incentive behind spending $1 billion tied to that. And it's because they saw the opportunity that was in front of them. And from that buy, they've actually seen a ton of growth into now being over 1 billion monthly active users with over 500 million daily users. So Facebook Business Manager seamlessly allows you to buy into both platforms through one buy. And that's really important for you because you want the scale of both of those platforms, but also you want to buy into wherever your audience is at that specific moment in time. And whatever goes into who that audience is going to be very different depending on what that platform is. So next is to understand this whole aspect of the digital shelf. And this is something that Todd talked through with you, is no longer is your customer coming in to a physical space and making that decision happen there. They're looking onto the digital shelf. It's your business showing up in the search results, because remember, we talked through is that over 80% of those people are starting their buying purchase online. So you want to make sure that you are taking advantage of technology that allows you to put your business in front of them at the right moment wherever they are. And now Facebook allows you to actually do shoppable ads. So this isn't just on a product perspective, this is also for services too. So if your business is more of a service level business, you can still take advantage of the unique ads that are available to you to position your brand to them in a very graphic, in a very visual, in a very impactful manner. And that's really important for you because if the digital shelf is the space that everyone is competing in to own, then you want to make sure that you have a unique point of view that's going out to them, that's able to grab their attention and ultimately push them to purchase with you. So the next section that we're going to talk through is Facebook for targeted reach. And this really comes down to understanding your audience first and foremost. And your audience, your next customer is on social. 60% of all adults in the US are daily users of both Facebook and Instagram. And 66% log on every single day to learn about new products and services. So you have an entire universe of people that are actively open, willing to learn about your business. They're showing intent, they're raising their hands and saying, hey, I'm here, I want to know what you're going to offer me. So you need to take advantage of the platforms where that's already occurring. And Facebook Audience Insights is a great tool to identify who your consumer is, to how to maneuver that message, not only on a content perspective of what you're saying to them, but where and when you're putting that message out there. And Facebook Audience Insights allows you to take any data that you currently already have, so any purchase-oriented data, or if you want to just kind of identify and find out who is that consumer based off of any inputs that you currently have or who you want them to be, allows you to input all that information in, and then what it does is it will show you based off of every single user on the platform who identifies what those inputs are, and it will show you not only on a scale perspective, but a lot of great data and a lot of great insights to be able to identify them and then actively use that on how you're targeting to those people. And this is important because social allows you to really limit that waste. So the more accurate that you can get into on a targeting perspective, but also learning what is and is not working is drastically different from the past when it came to more traditional channels. So for example, if you compared side by side social and TV, yeah, TV is getting you that great scale. And yes, maybe it's very exciting to be able to see your ad run in your favorite program, but you're going to be limited in terms of what you're going to be able to identify from that buy. On a targeting perspective, it's traditionally going to be a geographic or a demographic piece. And then for reporting, you're not going to get reporting. You're going to know that your ad ran, or you saw it printed into a physical piece of paper, or you saw it mailed. But you're not going to know, did they care? Did they respond? Did they have questions that came out from seeing your ad? Were they receptive? What are they going to do next? Social, completely changes the game. Now it's not only allowing you to target on a very granular level, but the reporting is important for you, because what that's going to do is it's going to tell you who saw your ad, where they saw it, what time that they saw it, what day of the week that they saw it, and more importantly, what did they do next? And that is the start to the entire journey. We talk a lot in digital marketing about consumer journey, customer journey, full funnel, big words, big acronyms that really, to be honest, don't really mean a lot. But if you take a step back and think about this, is their journey starting online. We talked about this. They care, they're looking into platforms to get a perception of what should they do, what should they buy. I have an idea of a product or a brand or a service, but I don't really know if I want to pull the trigger and actually buy it. So this is important for you, is to understand you need to be able to have the flexibility to test something, but that is only going to be successful is if you understand, was it working? And if it did work, what do they do next? And how do they connect the dots into ultimately what made them actually purchase? And how do you take those learnings and create a foundation for future marketing campaigns so that you can continuously keep building and growing your business? And next is, we talk a lot about how to reach your target audience. So there's a ton of opportunities when it comes to targeting across Facebook. And I'm sure if you've ever gone into the platform, it's a bit overwhelming in terms of where do I even start? So yes, you can target on location or demographic, or what are they interested in, or what's their behavior, or who are they connected to, or what are those contact lists of any data that you already have and site visitors. But really, taking a step back from all of these things, let's focus on three main pieces right here, because I'm sure you actually already have a lot of inputs that are setting yourself up farther ahead of some of your competition already. So starting with behavior is, who is your customer? Or who is your ideal customer? And it's, instead of focusing on, oh, it's ages 25 to 34, just bought a home, in market for this, like let's strip all of that away. Let's not talk as a marketer, and let's just go down to a human level. And that interaction that you have sometimes in your shop, if you have a shop, or if you're just online, that interaction that you have when you're hearing about customers' reviews on your business, or what they're saying, or what they're thinking and doing, is important. Because what you need to look at and what you need to understand is your customer is a human being. And you, as a fellow human being, we need to strip it off and understand on a behavioral lens, who are they? What are they caring about? What are they doing? What are they thinking? And that's important for you, because if you want to step above your competition, I can assure you right now that most of your competition isn't thinking this way. And that's important, because what that does is it sets you up for success, and it sets you up totally ahead of the curve. And for behavior data on Facebook, it allows you to be able to select people based on what they've purchased in the past. Maybe they purchased some of your competitors. Are they even in market for the level of service or product that your company is offering? And if they've shown that they're purchasing into something, there might be a trigger actually before they're going to make your purchase. If they've done something in the past that sets them up into what that foundation could be, this allows you to be able to insert your message at the perfect and opportune time. That's most likely when they are already in market to purchase or buy into whatever your company and your business is offering. Next, site visitors. This is a very easy win. You have a website. And Todd talked about this, is that when it comes to online marketing and search, is that at the end of the day, your website is the only thing that you own. Everything else is rented space here, but your website is a huge piece to how you can use it strategically. So when you partner with a company like AdHawk, what we will always do is take a look at your website and understand, okay, let's make sure that any traffic that's going into your website, as we want to be able to retarget off of that site traffic. So if somebody is coming in and looking at you, in a perfect world, they would visit your website, make the purchase, be on their way. But we understand that that doesn't always happen. There's going to be a certain level of frequency that we call it, how many times they need to be exposed to your message, your company, before they ultimately decide to purchase. And that's important for you to understand, is that you want to continue that conversation. Remember, it's that two-way communication here. And if you want to be able to get in there and make a statement with them, but also to just politely encourage them. Maybe they abandoned their cart. Maybe they didn't decide to make that purchase just yet. But if you can take advantage of anyone who's visiting your site, that's already a direct hand raise that you want to be able to target that person and ultimately close that sale. And then finally, contact lists. You as a business have a ton of information, a ton of data that you're probably sitting on. And this is a huge opportunity for you to use that data to identify not only who has purchased with you in the past, but that's really important to be able to create who is your target customer based off of all of those things that you already have at your disposal, which is who has purchased in the past, who's visited your site. That's a ton of owned data that you can access. And for contact lists, this is also if anyone signed up for an email distribution. That's a great opportunity too to continue to nurture that relationship and to ultimately be able to close them down into a sale. So the next section, so which target segments make the most sense for your business? We talked a lot about those opportunities. We talked about those 3 sections, but really what is a quick win for you to use for your business? And the first one is location. So for all of your businesses, this is the opportunity to target. Don't waste that money on a national buy, a state level buy, as you can actually get down to a certain radius around your business where you're able to put that message out at the right time. And this allows you to target the radius around your store, your business, or if there's a certain area, going back to that data where your target customer lives, then you can accurately drop your message and target them in that specific circumference of where they want to be. It's also understanding the income level data, is you can target customers based on their level of income. It can range anywhere from the top 10% to the lower 50% of that income level. And that's important because you also need to be respectful of what is the certain aspect of your business, who is that target customer, and making sure that you are putting your message in front of who is actually able to buy into what your business is offering. And then finally is understanding on the radius level is what is the most popular location targeting, radius targeting is the most popular location targeting to take advantage of. And this actually allows you to, if you have competition in the market too, you can actually drop your message in front of your competitor's store or in front of wherever their target customer is living and put that message there to be able to own that audience at that given time. Next could be the site visitors and the lead nurture that we talked about before. Lead nurture is important. It is so incredibly important to understand what is the right level of frequency that you need to message them before they're ultimately going to do what you want them to do. And this isn't just across email campaigns, this isn't just across other digital channels. Social is a huge opportunity for you to be able to go in there to take advantage of whoever's visiting your site, but really to learn from that journey to be able to understand how many times do you need to speak to them before they're ultimately going to do what you want them to do. And this also allows you to connect into your other email campaigns that you may be doing. Is if you have messages that are going out for a certain promotion, for a holiday, for a cultural event, then you should be doing that same aspect across social, across Facebook too, where you can actually take advantage and create lifetime opportunity. And that's important. It's not just, the consumer journey does not just end at point of sale. That is for a one and done piece. But if you want to have a sustainable business, you need to create a lifetime customer value and ultimately create loyalty. And that's going to happen by your ability to be able to build upon that nurture, that whole aspect of who your customer is. And this can start off with the site visits and the retargeting, but it's also taking advantage of Facebook offers you targeting capabilities. There's custom audiences where you can actually connect with existing contacts, but also get in front of customers of a prospective customer using the proprietary data that Facebook offers you. And it's also being able to expand upon lookalikes. And this is really important. When we talk about prospect? Who's a prospective customer? Who maybe you didn't realize that you're able to build upon who that customer base is, and lookalikes actually allow you to expand beyond your followers and really get into target audiences that align with maybe there's an interest that's relevant for your business, or maybe it's from your existing customers that you have right now. How do you actually replicate that into a model where people who look like your existing customers? And Facebook has a ton of proprietary data behind that where they will absorb your data set. So if you have that purchase level data, you can put it into the platform and it will actually show you what are other users that are similar to the people that resemble whatever the current audience is. And that's important because across Facebook and Instagram, you need to have a certain level of audience, a certain size of an audience for you to even be able to run ads. And so your ability to take what you have right now and use what Facebook has is going to push you to be able to expand beyond your current followers and fans and be able to own into those audiences that you don't know that were actually relevant for you just yet. So the final is purchase data and when it comes to interests. And this allows businesses to get in front of customers at the moment that they require your business. So if we talked about those kind of high competition timeframes with a holiday or a promo, well, purchase data, you can create an audience based off of who is going to be the most strategic person based off of what are you offering at that given time. And you can unlock that data and actually show you on a demographic lens, who are they, but also describing who are those people. So for example, if you have a moving company, or if you have a furniture company, is probably a better one. Furniture company wants to understand who's recently moved. And so you can actually unlock that data inside of Facebook to understand there's actually 4.9 million people who recently moved, and people who have updated their profile with a new current city in the last 6 months. So you can take that as a baseline and build upon that different inputs to be able to replicate this is the consumer who's going to be in market, who's the most relevant, and who's probably already showing some level of intent to be able to buy into your service or your product. And you can position that to be able to place that ad at that specific moment in time. Interests are also really important for you to take advantage of. We call them interest affinities. And the reason being because Facebook has a huge population of people that use that platform. And this has also been slightly, big in the news, but they are aggregating all of that data on who their users are, and they actually allow you the opportunity to be able to target people based off of what have they shown interest in. So have they liked a certain page, or have they commented on a certain thing, or have they shared a post about something, or did they watch a video about a certain company? It's all created into one base where you can actually target people and prospect new customers who have shown some sort of hand raise to a interest level target. So that is liked a relevant Facebook page, commented on someone's post, they shared something, they watched something, or to a certain level of keywords. And keywords are going to be super important for you because if you're already targeting something across search and you're seeing an influx about a certain keyword, you can actually use that and copy it over to your social campaign to be able to have that 1-2 punch in real time. And the final section that I want to talk to you about is content. So we talked about what products might make sense for you, how to target them at the right time, how to position your business, and the where and when. And now we want to talk about what is that messaging. And this is a great quote from Bill Gates. It says, "Content is where I expect much of the real money will be made on the internet, just as it was in broadcasting." And that's important for you to understand because the message that you tell, you have a story as a brand already, and it's important for you to be able to tell that story in the right environment, at the right time, but using the right context. So why does this matter? Well, content marketing matters to your bottom line. Over 52% of customers are influenced by social content when they're making an offline purchase decision. This isn't just online, this is also offline. And it carries weight in terms of what they're being exposed to. And I'm sure you yourself, if you're scrolling through your social feed, you're going to see a ton of content. but when something really resonates with you, it makes you stop, and it makes you think, and it makes you feel something, and ultimately it makes you do something. And maybe that is to purchase something, or maybe that is just to make a sentiment that carries weight with you. Content matters for you. So using a great example of how you can use social storytelling for your business is taking a look at this company called Gather, which creates products, sustainable products for babies and children. And what they wanted to do was how to communicate what that product does to, of course, make a better sale, create a better lead, but to tell their entire company's story into a whole piece that's going to be able to create that lifetime customer. So they partnered with Facebook. They did something across Instagram stories where they were able to target accurately who their customer audience is, but really using the story to communicate who they are as a brand and ultimately how that product creates a unique solution to what parents' needs are. And they saw great performance from this one campaign. 91% return on ad spend, so all the money that they were putting into that was not only effective, it was impactful and worth the dollars that they were investing. 81% increased that return on ad spend from quarter to quarter, so they saw a continuous growth in what their business is, not just from the one activation, but how it created a stronger and a longer return on what that investment is. And then of course, they actually saw 45% lower cost per sale. So the message that they were communicating across social was able to create intent, but was able to close on what that sale is at the fraction of the cost in a much more impactful and efficient way. And taking this a step further is how to use video to be able to create a very unique story. So one of our customers right now on the flooring side of our business wanted to showcase a product, a carpet, Smart Strand, and how that was able to withstand a ton of different things. And they wanted to film this in a cow pen in their county fair, but they wanted to do this story across a newspaper. And the more that we talked to them, the more that we saw a great opportunity how to marry good video storytelling across the right platform at the right time. And from this, we're gonna play you the video so you can actually see how this worked for them.
We live in a rural area, and the county fair is big in this part of our state. And, I just thought it would be a really nice way to tie everything in with community involvement as we visit the fair and they can actually see it for real, how well the Smart Strand cleans.
What we're going to do, I want you to do your story with the local newspaper. At the same time, we're going to edit that video. We're going to get it onto your website, but we're also going to take that video and we're going to do a Facebook awareness advertising campaign for you. So I'm looking forward to this, and I will see you in August, and we will compare notes.
I've done a lot of advertising in the newspaper. I've done a lot of advertising on the radio. I've never had the amount of people call me and say, I've never had anybody call me and say, hey, I really like that ad you put in the newspaper. I've had a few people say, wow, you really sound good on the radio, but never to the extent of this video on Facebook. I mean, when you get people coming in, calling, I just worked with a customer yesterday who's on a budget, and we're looking at the Mohawk carpets, and she's going, I just want Smart Strand. I want that carpet you put under that cow. It's amazing to me.
And we know that video worked really well because the results spoke for themselves. So from that small level of investment that we put behind the video, we saw a ton of results that came from this. We were able to reach over 30,000 people within the vicinity of where her business is. We were able to drive a ton of engagement from this video. Over 40,000 people watched that video. And ultimately, how many people actually from that video drove over to her site was over 800 people visited the site just from being exposed to what that one story was happening around that county fair. So a ton of really great results and a great example of how you can use video to be able to showcase a lot of different layers of who your business or what your product is that you're offering, and really to showcase to your customer why should they care, why should they invest that time, that energy, and ultimately become one of your loyal customers. We spend a lot of time when it comes to digital marketing talking about this word thumb stopping, and all that really shows is because you need to understand attention, and attention has drastically dropped. And if you think about it, you as a person too, if you're watching a TV show, I can almost guarantee you're probably on your phone or you're talking to someone else while something's happening, or if you're just surfing the web online, reading an article, you're kind of going to go through this whole pattern where you're just scrolling until something piques your interest and you're going to stop. And that's what this term really talks about, is how content must be thumb stopping. And the way that you can think about this too is as you're going through, and especially when it comes to social, we're all guilty of it. We do the thumb scroll, going down our feed, looking what our friends are doing. Oh, look, there's some cute pictures when it comes to these little animals. But ultimately, what is going to make you press your finger down on the screen and watch what's happening? And you need to pay attention to these cues because you need to make sure that the content that you build for your business is taking into account that the attention span is very short, but also needs to make a lasting impression of your company so that they will ultimately become a customer for you. So not just how to create content that's thumb stopping, it's also when your content should be live. And with the rise of digital marketing, organic reach is actually become non-existent now, where what this means for small businesses is that you must shift your plan to be able to not just be this laid back kind of flow model, but much more into a strategic campaign model. And that starts with identifying what are the priority timeframes for when you should be live. And this should go back into when do you need to sell certain aspects? Is it a product that you're selling? Are there certain promotions that you have going on? Is it the holiday timeframe when you want to be live? Is it a priority quarter when you should be going out there? That should be the foundation for how you're creating a content strategy, and you should be working with your trusted advisor to identify a content calendar that's ultimately going to map back to what those priority timeframes are and start to create a cadence for when you should be pushing content out, not only organically, but also across an advertising perspective too. So it's not just the throwing videos up randomly, throwing content out the door every single day, 5 times a day, or it's not just kind of setting and forgetting. It's creating a better cadence, a better model for what that content calendar is. It's creating a purpose. Why are you live at this specific time? Or is there a certain time of the day when you've seen the highest level of engagement and traction? It's also balancing what that organic content is and the promoted content together, because when you pair those two together, you have a truly impactful content strategy. Your organic should be the maintenance of what your voice is. What's your personality of your company? That should constantly be there to be able to guide people so that if they start to show a level of intent, that they can navigate back to what your site is, and also going back into how to nurture that relationship that can serve there to constantly be able to position your business and your brand to that audience at all times. But then we also understand is that it takes budget to be able to promote. So the promoted comes into the mix to be able to hit spurts when you want to be able to push that content out to a specific amount of people to be able to create that traffic, that traction. And when you use those two together, you can have a very balanced portfolio of content too. And ultimately, this comes down to a strategy. Strategy is important for you to not only understand when you should be live, how you should be able to reach them, but what is that content? And we talked about sequential storytelling, is you should understand content strategies to be able to project what your message is to your audience, to be able to speak to all levels of what your business offers to them. So to wrap this up, we've talked about a lot of things. And again, I just want to encourage you is that if you have any questions as you're going through this, I'm happy to dive into any particular details or any particular pillars that we were talking through. So definitely reach out with any questions. But wanted to wrap this up into 3 main takeaways. If I could ask you to understand 3 things coming out of this, it's first and foremost, tell your story. Every single one of your businesses has a unique story behind that, and that matters because in a world where we are constantly offered a million different options, the businesses that are going to be successful, that are going to stick around, are the businesses that are able to communicate clearly, what is your story? What are you offering to me as your customer? Because I can tell you right now, it goes beyond just the product or the service I'm going to buy into, to you understanding who I am as a human being and how we can create a relationship that is lasting and that is nurtured. And this starts with your ability to tell that story. Secondly is just balance your ad buying. From this entire webinar, I'm not telling you to scrap out, don't do email marketing, don't do TV, don't do newspaper, don't do search. Understand that these things happen together. And it really comes back to what are you comfortable in when it comes to that budget that you're going to project out for your marketing, but also what makes sense for your business and what makes sense for your customer. And it starts with who is that customer and identifying where they're at and when they're at those certain moments and being able to use that into a much more balanced digital marketing campaign so that you can use channels to be able to not only fill in the dots, but to get that scale that you need to make the impact that matters for your business. And finally is, we understand this is a very tricky world where every day we wake up and platforms have changed and there's new targeting technology and there's new whole pieces of content that you can communicate to your customer. It's a lot. It's a lot even for a digital marketer, but what you need to do and what you owe to your business is to find a trusted advisor that wants to come in and not only work with you, but be a true partner. It's to understand what is your business and how do we be able to identify what are those objectives, what are those challenges, what are the goals that we want to accomplish together, and be able to show you, okay, from this understanding of what your business needs are, here is a unique and customized plan of how to reach your audience at the right time and to drive lasting results. And this happens by finding a trusted advisor like AdHawk. So where do we go from here? Well, this is going to be a continuous repertoire of webinars. So you might have tuned into on July's webinar with Todd. We're actually going to be having another webinar coming up in September, so I really encourage you to tune in for that and identify how to continuously learn from these things, but also how to ask better questions and be able to have those conversations that are going to be able to push your business forward. And how do you find that right partner who understands that it's not just understanding the platforms or speaking the lingo or the acronyms, it's really identifying what's the right strategy and how do we customize that for your needs. And AdHawk offers a free consultation to be able to do this. I want to be able to dive into what are those unique challenges that your business is having. So if you actually use this QR code, you can fill in the information. It's very quick, and we'll be able to jump on a call and talk to you about what makes sense for your business needs. And then if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Feel free to reach out to me. You can reach my email or my phone if you want to give me a call. We can chat. But happy to answer any questions that you have as you're diving through this. But thank you so much for taking the time, and definitely tune in for September's webinar.